Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us, and I'm thanking to my technicians for getting us back on the air. We're back on with Alex Lab. Alex, before we had that short break, we were talking about packaging of PR, and I was saying that I'm agreeing with you that there would have been some benefit, and many St. Lucians were anticipating a live feed. In my experience, I'd have hooked the Prime Minister up with 2 or 3 of the victims' family, get them in there, shed their tears. If you want to market PR, or take the Prime Minister to Marshall Boulevard in the heart of where it is and have him to deliver his address from there if you want to pack. But information that we have, Alex, the Prime Minister didn't have time. He has already scheduled to go over to Taiwan on Saturday, and the address had to be recorded as per the schedule.
There you have it. So doesn't have time or the foresight to put these things in place before he goes to Taiwan. He knew this was happening. We were over 60 murders already. You mean to tell me he waited till we got to 65, 66 to make this last minute? So for me, I'm bothered from that approach. That being said, I am informed, and what I wanted to do was pause it, and because it's pre-recorded, hear what people were saying and let them feed me the information of what was relevant or not relevant from what he said. So, like I figured, it was an uninnovative, uninspiring, sort of nothing new pre-recorded message. So I didn't miss anything.
Hold on for me. We have a caller. Good morning. Welcome to the platform. Good morning. Welcome. Is the caller still with us? Good morning.
Hi, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I'm just listening to the gentleman, Alex. I'm wondering really what is the issue. Is his concern that the Prime Minister did not come on live? Is it the content? Is it simply because his speech or address to the nation was pre-recorded? Because I'm thinking, never in my memory has any Prime Minister addressed the nation, whether it was live, and there was any engagement with the public. So it's different. It is different if he's asking for a press conference as to an address to the nation.
Yep. Fair enough. So, caller, when the Prime Ministers of past have addressed the nation with the national anthem, full address, and have all been pre-recorded, but be guided. And Alex reminded us that during the period of COVID, on many occasions, former Prime Minister Alan Shastney addressed the nation live at the command center, not interacting with the public. The feedback there. But Alex's main concern, and I hope I represent him well, he thinks it was insensitive somewhat for the Prime Minister to package the message and try to package his PR along a sensitive issue like this.
Grasping at straws there. What really do you mean by packaging a message? Let us look at content. Let us see if really the ideas or what the content in the address. Is there something for us to benefit from, learn from? Is there direction?
Caller, we did that. Caller, we did that. Hold on for me. Hold on for me, caller. We did that. We did assess the content. So let me ask you, from your assessment of the content of the Prime Minister's address, his point for intergovernmental panel or grouping, more resources for the police, based on the content, were you comforted? Are you confident that something is being done to confront the issues? We've lost the caller, have we?
I mean,
go ahead, Alex.
This is where we're at, and I mean, people may want to come at me and say, okay, what exactly bothered me? It actually feeds into what I'm saying. The speech and the content and what he gave was uninnovative and nothing new. And if what he's doing there has been done before, it means it's not working. So this type of messaging, which I'm saying, if we normally have pre-recorded, it doesn't work. We need to think outside the box and start to reimagine the cities, the lives we're managing, and the institutions we place people in leadership positions with. If we keep saying that they've always done this and it's never been done, that is the point. We need to reimagine our engagements of the political process, and it's not working. And what he said in that speech was uninnovative, an inter-ministerial committee. Those things never existed before. I mean, now they're going to do it. I mean, the bare bones of what he's providing doesn't make sense. And the one that bothers me, and I just want to touch on it, and I'll go back and listen to it now, is that you mean to tell me SLP, this government, is going to be the type of government that is going to usher in surveillance, cameras and drones on the people of St. Lucia? I mean, this is madness. Madness. It doesn't work in anywhere across the world around, other than China, around surveillance to be able to control crime and this sort of thing. And that's what we're introducing into St. Lucia as some innovative way to control crime. No, put your shoes on, take your jacket off and go into the streets and talk to the people that are being that are suffering or facing economic hardship that have to result to do crime. It's an economic issue. It's not a surveillance issue.
Thanks, Alex. One more call at this moment. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Shannon and Alex. How are you?
Not too bad, caller.
Good. I agree with Alex totally with what he's saying. I also have to add that, you know, after watching this on, was it Sunday evening or Saturday evening, I can't even remember, it was so irrelevant. I think that the Prime Minister did a very poor job in reaching solutions and in speaking about crime, and also in not sending a message out to the criminals to at least let them know that something will be done, that you need to stop. He was not assertive. They showed some visuals of war in Russia, you know, playing on the people's minds, and I'm going to say it as is, playing on the people's minds. So the price of fuel is still sky high. It has gone down other places in the Caribbean, but St. Lucia, we still sky high. And you're going to play on the people's minds and show us Russian fuel and show us climate change, images of climate change. But you will not show one image of the people who lost their lives, not one photo, not saying you're sorry, not reaching out to the families, not doing anything of that sort. So they're playing on the people's minds. The Prime Minister needs to stop. You need to stop. You need to stop and take stock of what you're doing. If you're going to show images, you might as well go all the way and show images. Let people see what is really happening. But you can't play on their minds to suit your agenda. But the crime factor that we're dealing with, you're not going to use an image to let people see how bad it is. And you're not going to reach out to those criminals and say, listen guys, this is it. We've had enough. We had 4 killings in 3 days. And it needs to stop. We will find you. We will find you. You need to take stock of what you're doing. Get rid of the ammunition or we're coming for you. He needed to be more assertive. Everything is a plaster on a sore, and they just keep digging back into that same sore, and that sore is not healing. And like Alex was just saying, madness is doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. You need to be more innovative. You need to reach out to the people. St. Lucia is at its lowest. And not just in crime, in everything else.
Oh, now I can hear.
Everything else we need to bring our standards up. We need to work. We need to get up and work rather than sit in Parliament and just power jeter at each other.
Absolutely.
We need them to work. And having said this, I need to say good morning and goodbye to everyone.
Good morning. Thanks for calling. Alex, do you agree that the Prime Minister needed to be more assertive and speak to the people causing the mayhem, say directly, we know you are, we are strategizing to come for you without divulging where the roadblocks would take place or that roadblocks would take place? Did he need a stronger message?
I mean, look, as a leader, yes, of course you can always be stronger, but the question becomes, when you're dealing with issues with citizens, fellow citizens, let's be honest, whether they engage in criminal activity or not, we need to show compassion. So while I can appreciate that he needs to be a stronger and more assertive politician or leader, he needs to also show compassion. Where was the compassion for those families? These are lost lives. There is a reason, compassionately, why somebody engages in criminal activity. And my issue right now is that the assertiveness is not going to solve it. It never has. The question needs to be, when are we going to show compassion and get into those communities and have conversations, include them in dialogue? The thing is, and I'm just going to throw it out there, if it becomes, and it has, more economically viable, more family viable for children and boys and girls in the community to seek solace and safety and peace and community within criminal activity, that is where the problem is. The problem isn't that we don't have enough police or we don't have enough surveillance and cameras. What is happening in society is that it's now more economically viable to live a life that is related to certain things. Selling weed, we need to have these kinds of conversations. If it's more economically viable, people will walk in that direction. It's not because somebody wants to be bad and buy a gun to kill another. No, it's an economic issue. I think we need to show compassion. I think we need to be able to, on the other hand, to recognize that whilst our spiritual practice, however it may lay, can provide peace, safety, and healing, it doesn't provide solutions. If prayers were to solve anything, it would have saved us from slavery years ago. It would have not had a earthquake in Haiti to take almost 200,000 lives. Prayers provide healing. It provides a safe place, but it doesn't provide solutions. And I think a lot of what we're doing, as the caller said, that I want to touch on, is that we are living in the era of mediocrity. We are accepting mediocrity as the standard, and this is where we're ending up. We're not having our leaders do the job that we expect them to do, and I want to see the politicians, rather than come out and be stern with us citizens on the air, go into the communities and have conversations with people.
And when you listen to a lot of citizens as well post the Prime Minister's address, one gets the sense that the Prime Minister may have missed an opportunity to sympathize with the families of the victim, the family of the nurse who was gunned down on way home from a 12-hour long shift, the family of the young man in Leclerc, the family of the Rastafarian who was gunned down in Marsha. One gets the sense that the Prime Minister Pierre also missed an opportunity to sympathize and in some way comfort them through word, if at least, during his address to the nation.
It was insensitive and disrespectful, and it was a lost opportunity. I'll go on record again and I'll say it, SLP, this government haven't gotten into office. I believe their political communication strategy is good. I think the bureaucratic process of having their communication team, whoever is leading it and whoever works there, suck, and they need to rethink that game, because they are not engaging and leading, and they're not governing with their communication team. Sadly, it doesn't connect with the people. They're still in opposition and political campaign election mode, unfortunately, and that's sad to see.
I was about to tell you the good senator would tell you they won with that PR strategy.
Well, that's right. Lisa can say that, because Lisa is part of the communications on the political side, and excellent. You can keep doing that. But when you start to govern and you start to lead, and you need to recognize that you are not governing only the people who voted for you. You're also communicating and leading the people who didn't. And you need to be able to come down the middle. And what we have now in this communication team and this iteration of SLP is a very sad legacy that's going to be left. I do want to mention just quickly before I go, I don't have any political side. I want to be on record to say this. I think there's a lot of conversation that people say that crime should not be political. They're wrong. Crime is a political issue. So is education. So is health. What we shouldn't make it is partisan. You shouldn't make it one is better than the other. We should all be working together to get to a solution. But crime is a political issue. So is health. So is education, the roads, all of those things, because they have the resources to address it. And they need to get to work, and I'm not seeing that. He's on a plane with whoever else, and now we don't have a strategy. We have nothing. Yeah. People are lost. People are upset.
Yeah. Lastly, Alex, what is people in your circle saying post the address within the diaspora where you are now? What are your friends and people within the circle saying?
I live in Montreal, Quebec. My circle does not pay attention to what's happening in Sydney.
Thank you. Thanks for that. You stay safe out there, my good man, and we'll keep in contact with you. I think your track record shows that you maintain a middle line, and where you need to slap one side, you very much you do so. You slap the other side likewise as well. Alex has no political affiliation, and his track record shows. If you don't want to listen to people like Alex, you're very much in the wrong place. Thanks, my good man, for coming on this morning.
All the best, brother. Take care. Thank you for having me.
Alex Lava, my very special guest this hour. Some feedback from the WhatsApp platform. Again, Don will do all within his power to ensure that we can beam the WhatsApp contributions on screen so you can see exactly as they come in. Good morning. I was agreeing with Alex on the form for the presentation. However, to compare the command center addresses of Chasney, which by the way was done by this Prime Minister as well, tells me he is not as objective as he claims. His answers to crime is to walk in the streets and talk to the criminals. Who are they? Yes, obviously we have to. If you don't want to, you have to engage them, caller. I am a supporter of engagement of the criminals on the ground. You need to get down to the root. We engage them every 4 or 5 years, so it makes sense now to engage them, say to them that their actions are not supported, try to find out from them what is contributing to their actions and how you can develop policy and programs to support them to get them away from some of the actions. So I want to agree that there is some benefit in going the way of underground. Another contribution. Good morning, Shannon. Alex is spot on. His name is Alex, by the way. Alex Lava. I think this continues. We may be in an uprising sooner than we think. Let's take a quick commercial break. 12 and a half minutes now before 9 o'clock. We conclude on top of the hour.
Black Friday deals continue at Quartz Optical. Shop now November 20th through to 25th and enjoy BOGO. Buy one, get one free. You heard right. Buy one pair of glasses and get a second pair absolutely free. Payment plans available from 3 to 24 months. Schedule your appointment online today on www.quartzoptical.com. It's easy and convenient. Black Friday sale continues. BOGO free. Only at Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
After a long year of waiting, Flow brings you the magic of Christmas giving. Discounts on devices to bring you closer to your loved ones. Prizes to enjoy with your family and friends. And sign up, bundle up, switch up, top up, or pay up to win $4,000 in cash or appliances plus other weekly prizes. For the best in Christmas deals and rewards, visit discoverflow.co.
Get your clothes sparkling clean with whiter whites and brighter colors. Use Joby antibacterial washing powder. Ultra concentrated formula gives more washes with brightening factors added to keep your clothes looking new. And with the added organic fabric softener, your clothes will be soft with the sweet scent of early spring morning. Use Joby antibacterial washing powder. My family, my love, my Joby. Available at supermarkets island-wide. For orders, call 455-3076.
Good morning, St. Lucia. Vibes at sunrise. An informative, enlightening, stimulating package. It can be taken as your morning cup of tea. Fortuna Anthony endorsing Vibes in the Morning.
Weekly from now into Christmas and perhaps the New Year, it would make extremely good content if the Honorable Prime Minister would address the nation live or recorded. Lots to always focus on and talk about. I have a former National Security Advisor who I'll bring on momentarily next week, a former Police Commissioner, as we remain on hold for the press conference of our current Police Commissioner, Mrs. Descott. I know she is extremely busy and working hard. But we await the announcement of that press conference. Would it look nice if the Prime Minister had the Police Commissioner alongside him during his presentation on Sunday past? Let's now bring you the word of the day, and then I make a final connection for this morning. It's been a strong morning thus far. Continue to remain with us. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. But now we bring you the word of the day, sponsored by Joby Laundry Detergent, distributed here in St. Lucia by Fruit Seafood Limited. Joby antibacterial washing powder. My family, my love, by Joby. Sponsors of the word for the day, motley. An adjective. Motley usually means made up of many different people or things, and often appears in a phrase motley crew or motley mix. It can also mean variegated in color. Variegated in color. To use it now in a sentence, I love movies that feature a motley crew of characters putting aside their differences and coming together, whether for a heist or to save the world. You like those movies, Don? Thanks for today's word, motley, an adjective, brought to you the kind compliments of Joby antibacterial washing powder. My family, my love, my Joby.
Get your clothes sparkling clean with whiter whites and brighter colors. Use Joby antibacterial washing powder. Ultra concentrated formula gives more washes with brightening factors added to keep your clothes looking new. And with the added organic fabric softener, your clothes will be soft and fluffy. Joby antibacterial washing powder is also effective in stain removal for cleaner, brighter, softer clothes with the sweet scent of early spring morning. Use Joby antibacterial washing powder. My family, my love, my Joby. Available at supermarkets island-wide. For orders, call 455-3076.
Yeah? We're back on, and I always encourage you to freshen up your laundry experience with Joby antibacterial washing powder. I have with me now on the floor line Mr. Giovanni James. He's a former National Security Advisor and a crime and security consultant as well. Mr. James, always nice to have you. I couldn't have missed the opportunity this morning, so let me just say to my viewers, I know many of whom tuned in to hear your contribution. He will join us this morning, and he will also wake up early, God spare, tomorrow to have a more extensive discussion. Giovanni, welcome.
Good morning, Shannon, and thank you for having me on your show yet again.
You're most welcome. Quickly, when you look at where we at now with the increase in serious crimes, are police properly staffed, resourced, and trained to get to the root of this problem?
Shannon, I would say yes, that the police are properly trained, and no, they're not properly staffed. But the issues that we face right now, Shannon, I keep saying it is nothing new. When we had 10 murders at one time in the history of St. Lucia, it was seen as a major issue. Now that we have 60 plus, it remains a major issue. For me, Shannon, it is more a situation of the lack of policy and planning, as well as execution. Because in the absence of all of those things, you can provide all the resources in the world to law enforcement agencies, and it is not likely to make the dent that we want it to do in relation to crime. Our police force, I can tell you, has become too reactive in terms of dealing with crime. One of the things that when I was the citizen security advisor, and I want to use the word citizen security because one of your contributors actually said, well, let's not just look at national security, but it relates to citizens. One of the things that we did through the performance management delivery unit, and that is a unit I think you should look to bring on your show at some point, as it relates to monitoring, evaluation, and execution of various government projects.
PMDU is still around?
Sorry?
The PMDU is still around?
It is still around.
Thank you.
But they provide a critical role in terms of assisting government departments in executing government policies, projects, and proposals. One of the things that we identified when I worked with the Prime Minister's office is the importance of statistics in being able to identify the areas where you had an increase in crime. And I think that if these statistics can be utilized properly in terms of developing policies and programs, it would assist the police in being able to effectively police crime. But I think there's a lot that is needed to get us to where we are. It is alarming, and it is sad that references would be made to undue fear and the like of that. We are in a situation where even the criminals are committing crimes, I would say, because of the fear factor. If I know that you're going to take me out, I'm going to arm myself with a gun to protect myself, and this is what is happening. Successive governments have failed to look at the root causes of crime in St. Lucia. We look at the results of crime, but we don't go to look at what has caused individuals to commit crimes. And that is where I think we need to be going.
But don't we already know the root causes because we've done several studies. We are not the only ones facing it. We know it's poor economic we know it's corruption within various institutions. So these things are known. Is it a fact that perhaps the crime is affecting the ghetto and the small man echelons, our high communities which are probably gated? It's only affecting the Malay, the small man on the street who smokes ganja. They're the ones getting killed. They're the ones being caught with a firearm. Is that what's restricting our serious response to the crime situation?
I wouldn't necessarily agree to that, Shannon, because if I were to do that, it would mean that we are in serious problems. I think it is a matter where, yes, we know what the causes are, and I think we need to dig deeper into it, not just a surface level to say, well, it's a breakdown of the family, but what about the breakdown of the family? Because in knowing what it is, you are able to come up with the solutions for it. Does it affect the high echelons of society? I think it does, but not to the extent that it would affect the man in the slums or in the ghettos. Economics plays a very important part in what is going on. However, I think I listened to the Prime Minister's address this morning by way of example. I did not listen to it on the night that it was delivered. But one of the things that stood out to me is that there's nothing new in what the Prime Minister is suggesting that has not been suggested in the past. And of course, I would have read what the contributors had to say and what Alex had to say in terms of doing the same things over and over. But where I would depart is to say that have we actually looked into the execution of those projects? The social programs that we speak about, have we looked at the monitoring and the evaluation of those to see if in fact it is working? Because right now all we have is a lot of talk and no actions. It is not followed through with action or effective action on the part of stakeholders to see that there is actually a contribution against crime. There is a decrease in crime. Because right now, all the guys have guns, and what are we doing about it? We're talking about getting police vehicles. We can have 1 million police vehicles in the absence of persons giving information to the police that John Brown has a firearm. Okay, what are we doing? And so for me, the problem is that we keep operating without proper planning and strategies. We operate in silos. I heard the Prime Minister talk about interagency cooperation. Shannon, I can tell you, being a former law enforcement officer, this was in existence long before I joined law enforcement.
That's just regular business. That's normal procedure that you'd have such sort of collaboration.
It is. It is. However, where the breakdown takes place is that when it comes to the continued execution of this interagency, it's again, there's a lot of talk, but where's the execution? Where's the monitoring?
And who's monitoring the performance of these agencies and programs? So we've spent millions on social programs, but nobody has been monitoring what traction have these programs and initiatives have in addressing the crime situation. But again, we say more social programs, more vehicles, but there is no, lastly, because we ran out of time this morning, but you'll be back, God willing, tomorrow at sunrise. After the Prime Minister ended his address, in View Fort, barrage of bullets erupted, disturbing the evening's peace. What message does that send, if any?
The message I got from it, Shannon, is that the address was not targeting those persons who were involved in crime. The address targeted law-abiding citizens. They are the ones who tune in to listen to what the Prime Minister has to say. So I don't think the gunshots being fired, and I understand it was as a result of a birthday celebration, which is not the first time. It shows you that there is a disconnect between the government, and when I speak of government, I'm not talking about this administration. Okay, there's a disconnect between the government and the people, okay, who commit crimes, or the people who come from poor social and economic backgrounds. Alex said we need to get on the streets and speak to them. I don't think we should dismiss that as, oh, it's just walking on the streets. But unless we engage those people because they feel disenfranchised, unless we engage them,
they're not going to win.
We are going to continue to see crime increasing. So my response is, and they probably were not watching this address. Most criminals would not take the time to watch the address. So should we be finding alternative ways of getting to them? Should we be looking at social media intervention strategies? Because that is how most of them get information. Via TikTok, via Facebook. Nobody has the time to look at news anymore.
If it was,
from that sector of society.
If it was, we could have a discussion on that. If it was, I think they watch the news, not every day of the week, not the entire hour of the news, but they watch certain portions of the news at certain times. Interesting discussion that we perhaps should have at a later date. Always a pleasure having you on, Giovanni. Let's continue the discourse tomorrow. Perhaps they would have watched if it was live and properly packaged. Packaged by that I mean if they knew the police commissioner was on, if you had high-ranking officers with the M16s and in the police camouflage on with the Prime Minister to give that sort of imagery and proper packaging. I think they would have watched and it would have made the rounds. People would not have been so comfortable going out immediately after brandishing those high-powered firearms that we see now.
Shannon, you're going into another area which I would have raised, which is what has been the impact of the impacts report and the investigations on that sort of packaging or response by the police.
Let's talk tomorrow. Interesting door you just opened. We'll talk tomorrow. Former citizen security advisor Giovanni James. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Shannon. You have a good day.
And he is also a lawyer. He'll be back with us at sunrise tomorrow. I want to thank Adex for his contribution. Follow Adex on social media platforms as well. Adex Lava. Always a unique and interesting perspective. Good morning to our friends in New York. Hi, Bibi. Thanks for tuning in. Everyone in New York City, especially our friends in Brooklyn and Queens. Hi. Happy Tuesday. Good morning to the people over in the office of the Prime Minister as well. We wish you a successful Tuesday. We'll be back at sunrise. Thanks so much for spending your mornings with us. On behalf of the entire team, my name is Shannon Lamont. Bye-bye for now.